Welcome back. You're watching Morning Live. Now, Tieti and myself may be alone in studio, but Ayanda Ali Payne is out at the Constitutional Hill Precinct in Bloemfontein, Johannesburg, because as we conclude our celebration of Women's Month, we focus in on the men in the South African society, and that's where Ayanda's discussion is going to be focused upon today. A very good morning to Ayanda.
Good morning to you, Valen. Yep, we're coming to you live from inside one of the prisons where the anti-apartheid activists were held. Yes, you did mention that we are at Constitution Hill, and what was once a symbol of oppression and all that is ugly about the past in South Africa has now become a shrine of all that we hold dear. That is our Constitution. A moment or two ago, you may have seen the Bill of Rights. This is the capsule that enshrines the Bill of Rights right here behind me. And yes, you rightly put it, Valen, we're discussing men's role in making sure that we all enjoy these rights that we hold dear. So I'll be telling you a little bit about Takuwani Riime. Takuwani Riime. That is the Venda phrase that says, let us all stand up together. It's a call for action by men, for men, to stand up and be counted, to be relevant in this society. That's what the discussion will be about today, a men's dialogue that will bring together men from all walks of life, business, the development aspects of various organizations to discuss the relevance of men today and moving forward. I'm now joined by Lesley Nkosi. He's the men's sector chairperson at the South African National AIDS Council. A very good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us, Lesley.
Morning, Ayanda. Just a point of correction. I'm not the chairperson of the men's sector, but I am representing the men's sector. The chairperson will be speaking to you a little later.
I do appreciate that correction. I think there's another correction that you can make for me, that Venda pronunciation. Yes. Talk to me about the theme, how you pronounce it correctly, and its relevance.
Yes, it's Takuwani Riime, and what it means is that let's stand up and stand together. It's really a call to action for men to stand up and be counted as relevant. You know, when men are weak, it is the nation, the entire nation that suffers. So basically, this is a call to say, guys, let's jump back a little bit. Let's think about where we are and the trajectory that we're taking. If we don't stop now and re-conscientize ourselves, we're going downslope. So let's stand up and be counted as relevant.
And I think it's also important that it takes place during Women's Month. You know, everything was much ado about the, quote, fairer sex this month, but women cannot fully enjoy their freedoms without progressive men who are not feeling threatened by an empowered woman. What will be taking place today? I also understand there'll be a men's charter.
When Bob Marley said a woman is a mother of all creation, we chose specifically to host this dialogue today during Women's Month so that we can celebrate women and we can really take it back to them to say, without you, we couldn't have been. And the dialogue that is happening today is really a combination of a lot of dialogues that have been happening around men to say, what is it that makes us inadequate to respond to issues that we are facing in the country? Look, if a child is going to find it okay at 7 years old to rape another child in the classroom, then there's a serious problem. But that problem isn't the beginning of the problem. It's how the problem plays itself out. There's been problems since. There's something that is happening with parenting or that isn't happening with parenting. There's something that is happening with or that isn't happening in society. And so we've said as men that we've got to take our role, but for us to be responsive to social justice issues, for us to be appropriately responsive, we've got to look at ourselves and find whether we do have the capacity to do this. And this is when we came short and we said, look, we can't do this without being institutionalized, for starters. So today, one of the objectives is to institutionalize men. But also, once we're institutionalized, we need capacity. Men in this country are coming from a disadvantaged background. And in essence, you can have 500 rands, but if you don't know how to manage 500 rands, you have 500 rands worth of problems. So what we're saying is that we need to be institutionalized, but also to be capacitated. We're calling partners. We're saying developmental partners. We're saying financial institutions. We're saying business. We're saying government. Let's come together. Let's have a dialogue and say, how can we get up and Takuwani Riime and stand up together and walk together towards the direction of progress?
And what happens thereafter? Are you going to go to different provinces, explaining what the charter is, explaining these objectives, and galvanizing, as it were, ordinary men in South Africa? Because one might say in the villages where a woman is not able to negotiate the use of a condom, perhaps, or when women are dealing with issues of fatherlessness in this nation, or people not paying maintenance, etc., that it's those on the ground, grassroots levels, who really need to hear this. The more enlightened men who are looking good in a three-piece suit may not need such intervention. How do you make sure that you go to the highways, the byways, the rural areas, the townships, so that all men can hear this message?
The idea of partnership is that the man in the suit and the man in the boots are going to stand together and say we're going to walk together. And I think this is a very good start, that in this dialogue we're saying there are men in suits, but there are also men from various organizations nationally that are dealing with issues of men that are going to be partnering and walking together from all walks of life. Yes, there's going to be a road show. And in this road show, we're going to be introducing the charter. And let me just give you a brief idea of what the charter is all about. When you are walking in a particular way as a man, you've got to understand that the young ones are looking up to you, and they repeat everything that you're saying. So you've got to have a particular consciousness that guides the actions that you have. And the charter, the men's charter, is that consciousness. Look at the Bill of Rights, for instance, which is guiding the behavior patterns of South Africans. So it's a really certain consciousness. And we're going to take this draft that's already been drafted at the moment, and from this point on is going to be going on to the provinces, and in a form of community dialogue will be engaged with by men in boots, men in suits. And we are going to be saying, what do you think of this? What addition do you want to make? Because once you have subscribed to it, you are now attesting that you are going to be this kind of man.
We'll have to leave it there, Lesley. My thanks to you. So many other issues that we'll be looking forward to as we discuss this further. We'll be talking about the Men of the Year. You want to find out what that is all about. And also the process of enculturation. How are we grooming, teaching and mentoring the young boys in our country? We'll talk all about that and more in just a moment. A quick ad break. Morning Live continues after this. Stay with us.